right. How's everybody?
Here we are.
Y'all good?
Good.
We
Good, man. It's so good to see you guys. It's been a long time. I'm so excited that you guys are here with me. We'll get into where Dr. Ellis just came from, and he'll share a little bit with us about his trip. But I'm so glad you can make it on with us, man. We really are excited. So I have on with me this week some awesome guitar players, some legendary guitar players, and I'm really excited to dive into some conversation with them about what they've done, what they've contributed, and how they've blessed us over the years. I'll start with Dr. Ellis.
I figured you would be bad.
Dr. Kenneth. Dr. Kenneth Ellis.
Kenny!
Man, it's good to see you, man. We also have Lonnie Bennett, Harvey Shaw, and last but not least, Pierre Stephenson.
Yeah, I'm
What's
here,
good, man?
I'm here.
It's good to see you, man.
It's good to be seen, man.
Yes, sir.
Trust me, man.
Yes, sir. So listen, we'll start with you, Dr. Ellis. How are things been going with you? Where are you at? What's going on?
Okay, so first of all, it's a whole lot has been going on. I'm gonna abbreviate this as much as possible. Just got back from DC, Maryland area. I am part of a coalition with the White House with religious leaders throughout the United States.
Wow.
So we were Zooming a lot, and we've been in contact with how this COVID-19 deal is going, and also recommendations from the White House of what they desire to see of the African-American leadership within the communities. Okay. So I've been involved with that for a minute. And seeing that we're live, I won't go into much detail with that piece, but it's really great to come together with about 150 other leaders around the United States, key leaders that's moving the needle. So that's one. Number two, ministry. Just I'm still preaching, I'm teaching, I'm still playing my guitar, and presently now the ministry is expanding. Nothing I planned, but the ministry is really expanding, and I'm very thankful and I'm humbled for that. My desire was just to chill out and take it easy, put my feet up for a little bit for a few years, and look at you young men grow old. But that didn't work. I am back at it, 110 miles an hour inside the ministry. Wow. And the most important thing, Dante, to me is really amazing is that I now have the ability to, as you and as the Campbells and Lonnie, and to witness, play my instrument and preach to people that I never would have came in encountered with, except that I was kind of put out in the field and just went at it. And now I'm meeting people all over the world and people in my communities that I never would have met before. Yeah. And they are truly amazed with the gift that I have from God, which is my music and whatever God has given me through my ministry. So that's what's going on.
We're excited for you, man. That's some great stuff. Lonnie Bennett, how you doing?
Doing good, man.
Good.
Just trying to make it what we do.
Yes, sir. So what's going on in your world? I know I am a recipient of one of your guitars, and from your brand, and I'm excited to talk about it. And I know you're probably going to talk more about it and whatever you have coming up. But Rock Tone Guitars, man, how you doing?
Hey, doing good, man. We're just, I'm really surprised that I'm even with this elite group, because I didn't consider myself a guitar player. As we get along, we'll talk about how I ended up playing guitar, because I really didn't have any intentions to. I had no intentions of playing guitar at all, ever in my life. And it was really till later on that I started running in, different circles. But yeah, we're keeping busy, making lap steels now. Back ordered a lot.
Wow.
trying to keep up since I'm a one man shop and can't find people that want to work.
Wow.
I believe it.
It's so I'm doing that, and I've also partnered with some lead guitar companies. So it's put me in a different realm. And in the course of becoming a guitar builder, I've lost a lot of friends.
Wow.
But I've also gained a lot of friends. So it's been an interesting ride.
Yeah. Wow. That's exciting to hear. I don't care how high you go. It seems as though that is the mandate on leadership. The higher you go, the less you have coming with you.
I think it's more so your circles change, and then you people that you thought would support you either don't come through or don't support you, or because it all started by accident. I don't want to take up everybody else's time, but this was all an accident. I was at actually a steel guitar show because I used to play for other companies at the shows for their guitars. Taking a break from doing a demo and talking to somebody, and they said, "I wonder what it would take to build my own." And this redneck came up to me and he said, "No, you can't do that. You got to be smart to do that." So I took it as a challenge, just to build one.
Wow.
And now here we are. I'm building multiple guitars.
Awesome.
Well, we're supporting you, man, and we're gonna talk about this a little bit more because I want everyone, at least everyone that is listening to this in the future, the people that are listening now on Facebook, share this post, like this post, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about Lonnie Bennett and his rock tone guitars and the things that he's getting ready to do and the things that he's already done, and the fact that I've already bought a guitar because I want to support my brother. I want to endorse his stuff. I don't know how we can get it to be done, but wherever I go and wherever I use that guitar, I want to make sure that they know this is a rock tone guitar. And you're one of us, man.
You like it, as long as you like it and you're using it. That's
Absolutely.
the main goal.
Absolutely.
The goal is to make a working musician's guitar.
That's right. It is. It is. We're gonna talk a little bit more about it. So, Pierre, how you doing, man?
I'm all right, sir.
It's so good to see you, man. One of the legends.
It's good to see all y'all brothers. I want to let y'all know it's good to see all of just to be talking and listening to y'all brothers. It's good to see y'all.
Man, it's good to see you. How you been doing? What's been happening?
Man, I'm like 53 now. I turned a couple of weeks ago, Kenny. And it's like I retire. I'm a granddaddy. 5 years, that's all I do. I go to my dialysis and watch my grandkids, my 3 grand. That's all I help my daughter. She work out here one of these Chrysler, Sterling Heights. And that's my job. Go to church, dialysis, and watch the grandkids. That's all I do. That's my life right there. And I love it too, because the grandkids make me. Right. Them grandkids make my day. They got 11, 6, and 4.
Wow.
And they all make my day. I watch them all through the week while my daughter go to work. But I'm happy to be among y'all brothers, even talk about what, Kenny was one of my inspirements. I only had 2 of them really, but Kenny was, he practically was everybody's inspiring playing guitar. So it was always amazing to hear him play the guitar. That unique House of God guitar sound. Basically, that's where I call him. He really established that rhythm. Yeah. And that's what always caught my ear. Yeah, and I had another brother named Danté Miller. He played with his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah, and that was the only two people that inspired me really. I used to listen to when they really played, Boosie and Dada. And Boosie played the guitar, and his brother played the Hawaiian. Back when we went on my Ellis, and Boosie, it always caught my ear. But when I was going out of town, I know we going to Tennessee, Kenny always caught my ear too. I just love that. So that really inspired me at 15, 16. I started playing early. My grandfather taught me this is a unique story. I was just about 15. My mom done bought us guitar and stuff, and I'm going to the church and I'm playing the guitar, but I didn't know how to tune the guitar. I know how to tune the Hawaiian, so I put it in the Hawaiian in the guitar. And my Uncle Ted peeped it, and somehow it got to my grandfather. And my grandfather used to play the guitar. He was smart, but his wrist was kind of broken when he got some object fell on a long time. But he ended up showing me my first chord. And my granddaddy that Sunday when they told him, and I tuned it up. He had me to tune up in a guitar tune, showed me how to keep it there, and then he showed me my first chord, my grandfather, and then it was on and popping when I heard Kenny and that Boosie Miller, and it was on and popping then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, this is some good stuff.
Yeah.
This is some good stuff. I never knew that story, and I'm very familiar with Dada and his brother.
Yeah.
That's that Wisconsin, Chicago.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Man.
That's funny because I'm like a late bloomer, and so me listening to Pierre, man, was the thing when I went to Detroit. But like I said, I didn't start playing lead till late. So listening to him and all you other guys, I mean, I'm probably just as old or older than most of you, right? Except for Kenny.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
I'm 61.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I got you, brother.
I'm 61, but you know, and the thing is, I wasn't what I call tainted. I didn't grow up with the House of God sound.
Right.
When I first heard Kenny, I'm like, what is this? And so I said, okay. So you study the tapes. I didn't start going to Nashville till late.
Wow.
So man, listening to Pierre when I went to Detroit, listening to him and Ronnie Hall and those guys playing, for me, that was as far as the church was, the national level was concerned. And the other guy that really blew my mind when I went to Nashville was Larry Taylor.
Oh yeah.
And
he could pick 110 miles an hour. And don't even break a sweat.
I remember Taylor. Yeah.
Well, you bought him up, Lonnie. But we were talking last night. I sent him the feed, so he may pop on.
Yeah, that's man. I when I saw him play, it was so fast. I was like, my eyes couldn't keep up with it, and I was like, man. And so, you go back home and you immerse yourself into whatever you see.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course I had idols and guys that I grew up with back home. But you guys have been around it as far as lead guitar a lot longer than I have.
Wow. Well, that's a great observation. I want to bring Harvey, last but not least, Harvey Shaw. I don't want to consider anybody any favorites, but he is my first cousin.
That's right. We know that. That's what's up.
This is blood right here. But Harvey, man, what's been happening? What's been going on? You are really carrying the torch. Right now.
First of all, I appreciate you, Dante, for doing this, man. This is something. It's just a wow. It's a wow. And I've seen the other feeds with the other musicians you have brought on, and just something like this to be done is incredible. So commend you for doing this.
Thank you.
Secondly, I'm so humbled. I'm just really a product of everyone you see on this camera, plus one that's not on here, that's Phil Campbell, but I'm just a product. I might be the youngest one, but I'm definitely an old head. Hey, I'm traditional, all the way traditional. So that being said, I like to say, back to the Miller boys, they had a guy named James Miller who had played guitar.
Okay.
And actually, he was really the first one to actually show me something on the guitar around the age of 9 and 10. But he was so advanced at that time, I didn't really catch on until a few years later. And when my Aunt Frida, she actually showed me some chords, and I caught on from there. Wow. And that kind of began everything. I was in the assembly of 1988, Michigan Detroit Assembly.
Okay.
And a guy right here next to me was playing with my Uncle Ted. And that moment on, for some reason, I wanted to play the lead. From that moment on, I wanted to play the lead because of this guy right here and sitting next to me. Wow. So that was my humble beginnings. And as years progressed, I started hearing Phil, and Phil was so advanced, and I just couldn't understand Phil, but I love the tunes Phil used to do. I love the tunes Phil, but I knew I would never get that stuff. But the reason why Phil is important, because Phil introduced me to Kenny. He actually introduced me to Kenny's style of playing. Wow. I didn't know anything about Kenny. Okay. Phil was actually the one to introduce me. And what I like about I guess the whole Campbells, especially Bishop Campbell. Bishop Campbell used to travel to state assemblies, but he would travel to various state assemblies, especially Ohio, Michigan. He would come to Ohio during the week. So he wouldn't just come on Saturday and Sunday during the weekend. He would come during the week. And he would usually have Derek or Phil. Okay. And the last, I think 2 or 3 times he came to Ohio, he brought Phil. And that's how I was introduced to Phil. Wow. And ever since then, I used to love Phil chords and love Kenny sound. If I could just get Phil chords and Kenny sound, hey, somehow if I could put that together, that was really the beginning, of my logic of trying to play. Yeah. And then and where Lonnie Bennett come in at, I remember an assembly in Detroit. Lonnie came, I think, early 90s. Man, this guy, he played the guitar. I've never heard that style before, And after he finished, after that service was finished, I went to talk to Lonnie, and Lonnie said, I asked Lonnie, where did you get your style from, man? I mean, that's not like Phil's or Kenny's or Pierre's. I mean, where that style come from, man? And then he said, well, I had a lot of influences from outside, like he just said, from outside the house of God. Right. And 2 things I remember Lonnie telling me. Whenever, as you know, house of God songs, they're not really difficult to play. You have the 3 changes, right? But he said, even with the 3 changes, try to play each stanza differently. That's one thing I'll never forget Lonnie telling me. Play each stanza differently. That will help make you. And then Lonnie in Nashville, man, he when I say he knows sound, he knows sound. He knows what's not right. He knows who's coming through, who's not coming through. And I remember I was trying out different guitars. Lonnie told me, hey, Harvey, yeah, you sound pretty good, but you wasn't coming through. You need to go back to that other guitar. That cuts you through a lot better. And, with all constructive criticism I got from these guys, I never said, well, no, I'm going to do what I want to. I took it. I took it, man. I mean, nowadays, these guys, we have a lot of skillful musicians, but for me, I took everything these guys said and didn't talk back, didn't give them a word or whatever, didn't say anything. I never did. Awesome. I took it to heart. I learned from it. And I'm really a product of everyone here, minus Phil not being on here, but I'm really a product of all of these guitar players. It wouldn't have be me without none of these guys.
Man, I'm glad you're saying that, Harvey, because and I'm gonna circle back around. Kenny, you've really influenced a lot of guys. You've influenced the sound on the rhythm guitar, and a lot of the guys that play House of God guitar and the way they sound, they would attribute that sound from you. Yeah. Here's my question. Where did you get it from? Yeah, we ain't gonna tell nobody. This is between us.
So let's see where I want to start. We're gonna go back. Like I said, you guys are youngsters here, so we're gonna go back to my high school time. My father, he purchased a lead guitar for me. I did not want to play it, and I was in the 10th grade. I didn't want to play it. I said, give me a drum set. Just let me beat the drums. And he didn't do it. He bought me a guitar. Mm-hmm. And my stepfather, Deacon Walker Lee Ellis, he showed me a couple of chords. He knew just very little. He was in the quartet field. Mm-hmm. So I got a book. And from there, I got a book and began to learn the basics of a lead guitar. And most of my riffs and everything that I do came from playing by myself, 90% of the time in Fort Lauderdale Church.
I remember that.
And Dante, your grandmother, at that time, she was Deaconess Shaw.
Yes.
She, she was very adamant of keeping me focused along with my mom, and I got to give her kudos on this one here because she was a great supporter of me, great supporter. So I played a lot of times by myself in Fort Lauderdale Church, and revivals back then. They was doing 2-week revivals and 3-week revivals, and it was just me and a bass drum.
I remember.
And hand cymbals.
Yep. So, wasn't it your cousins that played the snare drum and the
Greg was on the bass drum.
That's what I thought. Yep.
And he could play for hours. So we're in revivals night after night, all summer. Dante,
yeah,
Fort Lauderdale, all summer we were in revivals. So I was learning skills, and I can't put it any other way, but I always prayed for God to give me a sound. Let the sound come down from heaven and flow through my fingers. And that's been my prayer ever since I can remember. Lord, give me what you want me to have to give the people. And just creativity started coming. I did some crazy stuff. Ben Shaw, who was with me.
Bass.
Yeah, he was on the bass. He came a little bit back, and that's when your mom, your grandmother, Deaconess Shaw, hooked me up with Ben, put me in her car.
Wow.
Drove us to Detroit, Michigan.
Wow.
For the assembly. So me and Ben.
You telling the story here. I didn't know about this.
Yeah. So my first trip out of the state, other than Nashville with my grandmother, was with Deaconess Shaw.
Wow.
So she took me to the Detroit Assembly and introduced me to Ted. So she told Ted, say, hey, I got my son here, and I got this other young man here. If y'all could just kind of show him a few things to help him out a little bit. And so Ted took us out to the church, and Ted told me, man, you're a rhythm player. You have to have some rhythm. So, he said, your timing is gone. So Ted get that foot trying to get me in a time. And I'm saying to myself, it's nothing wrong with my timing. But Ted said, your timing is not right. So I kept working at it till Ted was happy. We finally left the church. And we was right in the middle of the state assembly. Mm-hmm. So I came out that night, and I know Ted got some heat because he said, people was asking him, who are these boys from Florida you bringing down into the assembly playing with you? And Frida was on the 1-string bass. I mean, Frida was doing her thing, man.
Yeah.
So a new concept started that night. A new concept started in Detroit Assembly with myself, Ted, and Ben Shaw. And heaven opened up. Ted was doing this thing, dun, 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 and I could mimic everything Ted did. And every time I mimic him, I carried it. Then I gave Ted the ability to do something different. So when we did it together, it made a great impact. And that's one thing I learned with Ted and Calvin. We always did it together. Whatever we was running, we'd run it together, make the impact. So I started back in 1972.
Okay.
And I played in the General Assembly in 1973.
Wow.
It was my first General Assembly. And during that time, again, Ted, Calvin, and I got a lot of, I'm not going to just tell you this one story. We played all 10 days. I played all 10 days as a lead player.
Wow.
Yeah. So we would ship our amps down in cardboard boxes, ship the amps down. And so we'll play all the 3 services a day.
Wow.
We'll spend, every morning we'd be out in the tent outside.
Right.
So we have to haul everything out there. Can you imagine playing in a tent every morning?
Hot, in the hot summer. In the middle, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we did that for years, but that's my humble beginnings, and that's kind of where I started.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of young players need to understand and really know where it came from. I was talking to Ronnie Mosey last week, and he said almost mimic what you just said in relation to how you wanted your sound and how you prayed to God for the sound, how you were in tune with what God wanted you to do. It was like God was center.
Yeah, and you got to understand, we didn't have no one to mimic. I didn't have no one to mimic.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
So
yeah, Kenny, it was easy for me. When I came on, I had everybody to mimic. That was easy for me. Hey, I'm not ashamed about it. I mimicked all you guys.
Wow.
So the easiest thing that I could do is find out what Ted did, find out what Calvin was doing, find out a lot of their chords of what they was running, their sequences, mimic those, and then I added what I had to do.
Wow.
And Ted and Calvin can tell you, sometimes we'll be into the assemblies, things that come to our head, a new tune, and we would not remember how to play it anymore until someone who was recording it play it back. And then we go and practice what we did under the anointing so we can do it again. And God is my witness. That's how it worked.
Ted talked about that. Calvin brought it up. He said the exact same thing. Talking to Ronnie and some of the other players, they would say the same thing. Even with Bishop Harrison, it's that to me is amazing. And that I think, like I said, these young guitar players that are listening, even some of the ones that are in my generation, I hope y'all heard this. That's incredible. So Lonnie, when you first heard, or when you first got into playing guitar, how did that first happen for you, and who influenced you?
It first happened, my dad was into quartet music, and he liked it. So I figured I'd try it. But my biggest influence when I started was Jonathan DeBose, because we lived in the same state, and all the concerts that were happening in that state where he played at. He played with all the big players. And
so you played personally with, or he lived around where you?
Yeah, I lived in Middletown. He lived, I think he lived in Bridgeport at the time, or Vernon, somewhere around there. But I listened to you all. I'm sorry to cut you off, Lonnie. For those of you all that don't know who Jonathan DeBose is, just look him up. But he was he's probably most noted for doing work with the Hawkins scene. The guitar player that's killing in the background, standing up. They call him the talking guitar prophet. That's Jonathan. Yes. Yeah. So I listened to him a lot, and then I wasn't even playing in church, because when I played in church, I played steel. Wow. And it was just me and as Ted used to call him, a boom boom drum. And I didn't start playing lead until one year Edwin Hawkins came to New Haven, Connecticut, and a friend of mine, David West, he heard me playing, and he said, "Hey, we're looking for a guitar player." And I said, "Well, it ain't me." And he goes, "Yeah, it's you." And so I went, and I played the gig with Edwin Hawkins, and that was my first exposure, you know, to playing gospel on a big level.
Wow.
Because if you didn't know your stuff, they just asked you to leave. And so I did the gig, got ready to leave, and the finance officer came, handed me an envelope. Now, New Haven, mind you, was only about maybe 15 miles from Middletown.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, no, I'm glad to do it, glad to help out. You know, and they're giving me hotel fee and all that kind of stuff. And so I said, no, it's okay. And he gave me an eye and handed me the envelope.
Wow.
And I said, okay, maybe this could work. Then I started listening to country players, and listening to the country guys and doing that. But there were a lot of unsung heroes, I call them, the guys that played locally that were just bad, and nobody ever knew who they were.
Wow.
One of them from Hartford was Reverend King. I thought he was the baddest guitar player ever.
Yeah.
And I thought he was ahead of his time, but he only played in his home church. That was it.
Yeah.
But so I patterned after those guys. And then the thing is, when I started playing in Nashville, the only reason I started is Ted came to Middletown to play for a dedication. Actually, I invited him to come play.
Okay.
Amazingly enough, he came and played. And so I figured, okay, I'll back him up on lead. And he said, "Why are you not playing in Nashville?" I said, "I don't know." And then
Wow.
he said, "Well, you got to come to Detroit." And then actually I went to Detroit and I stayed a few days with Calvin just to learn Calvin, just to learn what he likes, what he does, how he plays, what he's looking for sound. And as far as the stroke on the guitar, the stroke that you'd be using, which was a lot different. I learned to switch from a flat pick to finger picks and all that kind of stuff. And then I stayed a few days over at Ted's house.
Wow.
Did the same thing. And to me, that was probably 3 days that I probably was in tears a lot, because Ted was big on chords.
Exactly.
He would always talk about this guy, Julian Thorpe. I got back home, I bought everything recorded by Julian Thorpe. And I'm like, man, I never sweated so bad those 3 days I was with him. But you know, that year we went to Nashville, and it just seemed to gel. Kenny's right. We didn't come up with nothing new. I just learned how they would play if they were playing lead.
Gotcha.
And then we got to Nashville. It was always like, okay, we're gonna do this. And man, that's when I would cry, because
wow.
I didn't know if Ted would come out with a chord that would just blow your mind, and you're like, man, I can't.
Ted was a king of chords.
He sure is. Yeah, he the king of chords. He sure is.
And believe me, if you ain't hitting it right, he gonna let you know. He'll let you know. You know, I think for me, with Ted, he was probably the most intimidating steel player to play with. Out of all the steel players I played with, he was the most intimidating for me.
Yeah.
And
you know your stuff playing with Ted.
And Ted not only knew chords, you guys, Ted could get in those highs, so high, and be doing all this. He was like a rock star.
Yeah.
Those times he would make those horse noises, make the horse whinny and all that kind of stuff. People forget all of that.
Yeah.
And then And then I remember the first time I heard Ted, and to me, it sounded like a brass band.
Wow.
And then the next minute, it sounded like the roar of a lion. And I'm like, what is, I can't do that.
He was king of that train. That train. He loved it. When Ted played that train, he was on the pop it in. He done got hot there. You right. He go to that train. That's one thing about He gonna hit that train for if it's hot, the service hot, or he hitting that train for the day or night over with. He know what to do. He had everything coordinated. How he gonna do it? You right. This is what he did. Pre-service, I'm doing this. I'm right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, as a guitar player, I don't know. I can only talk about being a drummer with Ted because Ted is one of my favorite players, but I think I was like one of his dudes, his go-to on drums. And I really, what got me really locking in with Ted is his hits. There are certain emphasis that he would place on certain notes, and that's how I played. Yeah. So he wasn't into, the fancy stuff. You had to be pocket with Ted.
No.
Strictly pocket.
Right. We don't want no fancy stuff.
Nothing.
In the pocket.
Right.
Hey, Dante, Kenny was like that too. Kenny was like that too. Sometimes you get Kenny and Ted playing in a service. Sometimes you don't know who's playing what. Because they used to sound so similar. You don't know who's playing what. Chording and picking. You don't know who's doing what.
Because they were just so, you guys were so together. And all I did was just keep a drive, and he just wanted a solid pocket. And the tempo had to be right. It had to be right. Don't go too fast. Don't go too slow. Just keep it right there.
Right.
And when he would do breaks. When he would do the train, he had certain hits that he would do. And you just had to know him. You had to be there. You had to watch him. Because if you didn't watch him, if you didn't know what he was doing, you were gonna mess up. And he was gonna turn around. He's gonna look at you. Yeah. And you was gonna get switched out.
Look.
But him and Calvin both. It was how you accented on your stroke.
Yes.
Calvin was really big. When I worked with Calvin, he was really hard on me about how to accent the rhythm and what to accent at what point to do it. And Ted was the same way. And I was like, when I started playing it, I couldn't stand Kenny then. All the work I did, and I wasn't really part of the clique yet,
Right.
So, but we had, I remember one service I played with Ted, and Ted said, man, you got me geeked up. This is great. This is awesome. So I'm thinking, okay, Kenny, come on, bring it back. Kenny come back that night and kill it to the point where, like you said, you didn't know who was playing. Yeah. And then I never wanted to cuss him out.
Wow.
But the thing is, he had more years on it, and I'm sure he was more spiritual. Now the spiritual part, Calvin had me doing anything. I was in my bathtub anointing myself before the general. I'm telling you, Calvin said, now you got to get ready for Nashville, and this is what you do. Came home, man, my wife was freaking out for a while. What are you doing? I'm in the bathtub praying, reading my Bible, anointing myself and everything. And so as far as the spiritual part, Calvin pushed me on to do that. Ted would call me and say, you praying? And I say, yeah, I'm praying. And the thing is, you get down there and like Kenny said, you don't know what is coming at you. Correct. Or what you're going to be doing. And that's why back in the day, the guys prayed up so hard.
Exactly.
Because, and that's why these guys wrote the book, because there was no book at that time.
And Lonnie, I would tell you this. We went out 2 weeks prior to the assembly.
I was going to say that.
And praying. That was a mandate force during that time, and still to this day, even as recent, just prior to me leaving the organization, always key was fasting. You fast, and my prayer has always been, guys, and I told you this, Lord, just use my hands. Bring your sound from heaven. Use my hands. Use my mind. And then whatever it comes, Lord, allow me to do it. And I was very sincere with that fast and with that prayer. And sure enough, that's what God did. And we'll walk away from there many of times and many of nights and afternoons, and we'll look at each other and look and say, what just happened? And we have no idea of, and God would just come in and just saturate the house. And so that is just an experience, guys. You just never can explain it.
See, that's when him and Kenny was
Explain it,
stopping
but
at Ted and was playing all the unique sounds that they came in.
And you know, Kenny, I can contest to that because whenever I talked to you, that's the first thing you said. And with Ted and Calvin, that's the first thing you said prior to coming to the General Assembly. How was your spiritual life? And what did you do to prepare? You wanted to know what my answer was. Well, I got my clothes together. I got my money straight. No, you weren't talking about that. Yeah. And when Calvin broke it down to me, how he took 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And how he, like you said, fasting and praying, but his mind was just totally on the General Assembly. And when I spoke to my mother-in-law, she used to tell me what Calvin used to do each day prior to coming to the General Assembly. How he would take that spiritual, that spiritual awakening or the spiritual preparation to get prepared mentally for it. And unfortunately, some of the musicians now would never understand that. They would never get that. Wow. It's just not playing in your local or state assembly. You come into the epitome of our organization, House of God, and it's playing, we're Levites. And you said the same thing Calvin said to me. Both you guys was on the same page at different times, said the same thing. What are you doing to prepare? Not playing wise, not pick, chords or whatever. What are you doing about your spiritual life?
Wow. Yeah, but
guys, I would attest to you that.
Go ahead, Lonnie. Go ahead, Lonnie.
No matter where we played, Calvin was big on that.
He was.
I played with Calvin a lot in a lot of different states and a lot of the other Dominion organizations. At the same time, Calvin would call. He'd call and say, "Hey, I'm playing over here. Meet me over there." And I'd say, "Okay." And he would say before that, and even if it didn't matter if it was 2 days we playing or a week we playing, he would, anoint ourselves and pray.
He was big on that.
And then he's big on that and big on these certain scriptures about the musicians, about the attitude or what it takes to make up a musician, and one of the Levites and all that kind of stuff. So it didn't matter where we were. And you learn to do that locally, then it should come naturally when you get ready for Nashville.
Yeah. Kenny, you were going to chime in with something?
I'm good.
Okay.
And I'm sure I would chime in some more before it's all over.
Well, listen, this is great. I'm gleaning from this. I'm learning from this. And for those of you all that are watching, man, you talk about some awesome guitarists, and to hear these stories and to understand the consecration that goes into preparing, not only just for the big assemblies, but just playing on your local level, on wherever you are, wherever you play. There's a spiritual element in this that you have to take serious if you want to bless others.
Absolutely.
There has to be intentions. Some of our intentions aren't as pure. We're not playing for the right reasons. And to hear these stories, man, is really encouraging from all of you guys in how you've done. So I'm going to kind of switch lanes just a little bit. Lonnie, I want to talk just a little bit about your company and what you're doing and some of the future endeavors and things that you're going into. I'm really proud of you. Let me just say that as just someone that I look up to as a musician, and more so as a sound. You were like, to me, you were like the epitome of sound technicians. You know, I heard Harvey talk about it a little bit, but when it came down to sound, you know sound. And when I found out that you were making guitars, I was happy and floored at the same time and ready to support. So what do you have coming up? What's going on with your production line?
Well, right now we're putting out just the standard model, which is what I call a Fender on steroids.
And it is.
and I didn't coin the phrase. Probably few of the guitars that I've sold to people, that's what they're telling me. But I was looking for a specific sound, but something better than what we have now.
Yeah.
Thing is, coming out in probably August, I have 4 new models coming out. Right now I have the 2 single coils, and I've got 2 P90 style coils, and be coming out with humbucker pickups.
Oh, nice.
In August, a humbucker style pickup, and then right now is on the design table is pedal steel.
Wow.
So we're doing that. I mean, we've been selling them. We've been shipping overseas, probably just as much as here in the States. So, and guys that are buying them, and it's okay. One guy told me he was buying it just because I'm a sacred steel player, and depending on how long I live, if I die soon, then the price of the guitar will go up. And I said, okay. I live with that. And there's other guys that buy them because they know that the sound is like I said, it's on steroids. It gives you an in-your-face pop, and that was done specifically on purpose.
Yeah.
The guys that I work with, one of my pickups, they do a good job.
Yeah.
So Lonnie, can you do a lead guitar that way? On steroids? Can I send you one of my leads to see how that comes out?
I think he's trying to put a plug in for the Kenneth Ellis version.
Are you able to do that?
It's funny you should say that, because I have partnered with another guy here locally that makes lead guitars. He's called Bruton Guitars, and I partnered with him, and we've come up with some excellent designs for lead guitars and bass guitars. So look for that coming around the August timeframe. And these are guitars that I want to have a grit or bite to them, so that you can get any sound you want. You want a rockabilly, or you want a jazz, and I'm thinking the same thing with the lap steel. That's why I came up with P90 pickup, and it has a nice full jazzy sound. So yeah, if you want to take your guitar and you want to supercharge it or put it on steroids, I got some pills for you to take.
Okay, very good. I like that.
This is great. Where can they go, Lonnie? Do you have a website or?
It's www.rocktone guitars with an S on the end of it. And you can go there and look at the standard models right now.
Okay.
And the colors that are available. We're also coming out with 2 new colors. There's going to be like a midnight blue and a royal, deep royal purple. And you can go to the website and look at the colors that we offer now.
Okay.
So you know, it's actually been a blessing. It's interesting because I used to play for the other guitar companies. Wow. I used to demo for almost all of them. And it's funny, when I started making them, how many have shied away.
Right.
You go to get help and to find parts and things like that. I had to do it mostly on my own. There's some that people there's some people, you know, that'll help you.
Yeah.
But that's okay too.
Yeah. Well, man, we're excited for you. And for those of you all that are watching, that are listening, support Rock Tone Guitars. I'm going to make sure I put, especially when I do the edit for this particular video, I'll make sure I put the website there and in this feed as well, so that they know where to go. So we can talk all day, but I'm going to go back around as we close, and I want you guys to. There are a lot of people that are watching right now, a lot of guitar players, there are a lot of musicians that are watching. Starting with you, Pierre, what advice would you give them? What would you give them to take away that they can take with them, and it'll 20 years from now, it's still going to work for them?
That spiritual part, that's number one, what Kenny and Harvey and everybody else talking about. That's pray. That I done that many times, playing guitar before I played full service. Get around, you know. Sometimes I slip, but yeah, that's the main thing. You gotta have that spirit. If you want to be the best at something, it's got to come from God anyway. You know that. So that praying, that spiritual part is very important. That's one thing I would tell them to do if they trying to learn anything or try to be the best at anything. Always keep a relationship with God. Pray and do what you can. Ask Him to bless you to be at your best and do your best.
That's good. Harvey?
I concur. I believe with everything what Pierre said, and in addition to that, stay humble.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds cliche, and what I mean by staying humble, stay humble. Your gift will make room for you.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to take constructive criticism. I was really receptive to that. Myself, my brother, and the brother Keyshawn, when we were coming up, we took constructive criticism to the point that when other musicians were to come in our state assemblies, man, we would get up, we would tell, hey, what would you like? What blah blah this, blah blah blah. We was receptive to constructive criticism. We stayed humble. And like everything my cousin said, Pierre, hey, keep God first. I mean, keep your spiritual life intact. Not just inside the church, not just inside the church.
Right.
But I would leave that with them.
Wow, that's awesome. Lonnie Bennett, what would you same question?
Same stuff they've been saying. I guess I tell them, like I tell my boys, find somebody to be your mentor. And having a mentor does not always mean you stay up under them or you hound them. You can have a mentor and never even talk to them.
Wow.
You can have somebody be a mentor and never talk to them. And I've had many of them. The other thing that I would add to that is dare to be different. Dare to be different, because if everybody sounds like everybody, then I can't use everybody. I can't, you know. I used to tell my son, Derek, if I want to hear Alvin, I'll go get Alvin. If I want to hear Lorenzo, I'll go get Lorenzo. But when I want to hear you, that's why I tell all the younger guys when they said, well, let me play for you, tell me what I'm doing wrong. And I always tell them, well, let me hear you. I mean, I know what you're doing, Ted. I know you're doing, I know you're doing Kenny. I know, but let me hear you, because that means you're not dependent on the guy from above to give you something, because he doesn't give us all the same thing.
That's good. Last but not least, Dr. Ellis.
So one thing I want to do before I close this, I want to give kudos to one of my greats, and before I close this out, is Phil. And I love that guy. Phil is very unique, and I truly love that guy. So what I would tell you is that is to strive for excellence. To every musician, strive to be excellent in everything that I do. My motto has been, as I lead, is to strive for excellence. I have been developing leaders forever. And I have been more intense of developing leaders in these last couple of years. And the motto is be excellent. So you fail in one thing, continue. Keep working at it. Don't stop. Be resilient. Never let people tell you that you cannot. And I say this very passionately. There's nobody better than Ken Ellis. There's nobody better than Dante. There's nobody better than Harvey. There's nobody better than Lonnie. So to Lonnie's point, be yourself, be the best that you can, keep striving for excellence, and let God do what he does with you. And be open for God to change your direction. A lot of times we get stuck. And when you get stuck into one routine, one thing all the time, you limit God. Don't put God in a box. So again, thank you, Dante, for this space. Thank you for my good friends out there. And God be willing, I hope to see you guys soon.
Well, definitely, man. I'm really excited that that we're all together and doing this. The funny thing is, it just happened. I was having a conversation with Robert Randolph the week after Derek Campbell passed away, and our conversation was just so in depth. And I said, Rob, man, let's have this in public, man. Let's go on Facebook and let's just go Facebook Live and let's just talk. He said, let's do it. He said, son, I said, son, are you free Sunday? I said, Sunday. I said, I'll set it up, and boom, we just went there. And Robert and I, we were just all over the place, and we had a good time talking. But the amazing thing that happened was the feedback that I got in my DMs and just people texting me and just showing us love and the stuff that they were saying and what they didn't know and what they want to hear more of. And it really urged me to do something that I was planning on doing, but to just take advantage of it now. We all at home. The pandemic is going on. Hey, we free. Let's do this.
So, and Dante, can I add this?
Yes.
Hey, Dante.
Yes.
There is a video of Kenny Ellis playing with the Campbell brothers in Nashville in the early 80s, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
I remember the run.
It's coming. It's coming.
I remember the run. and guys, I got some old, you know those cassette tapes?
Yes.
With Ted and Calvin and Henry Nelson. I don't have nothing to play them on.
Well, we'll talk. We'll talk after. We'll talk after we.
I got a box full of stuff, and I don't even know what's on it.
I need to help you MP3 all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll take care of that. This is good.
It's good.
I appreciate all you guys.
Hear that stuff too.
So what do you say, Pierre?
I would sure like to hear some of that old stuff, Kenny and them, Ted and them. Yeah, that'll give me something to do one day.
Listen, I don't know how to say it as much, but I'm so appreciative to all of you guys that laid the foundation for us. I don't listen to a lot of I listen to a lot of music, but it's the old stuff that inspires me. It's the stuff that I came up on that really inspired me. It was listening to my cousin Charles on guitar, you on guitar. Come on, you remember. Yeah. Everybody thinks Charles started on piano. No, Charles was on the guitar.
I was right there with him, right in Lauderdale, right there with him.
So it inspired me. I used to watch you guys play by yourself in revivals and just do all these amazing things. That's really what inspired me and drove me, even as a drummer, to keep striving to be a better musician. So thank you all for taking out time out of your schedule to come on and do this. Lonnie, to you, to Pierre, Harvey, love you, man. Love you.
Guys. Love you.
Love you, Harvey.
Thank you.
Harvey, you are the man.
Kenny, love all of y'all, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
Everybody that's watching, thank y'all. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, this is we want to put out more information for people to understand how to be better musicians, how to be better individuals, and take your craft seriously. I'm just doing my part to bring people that I know that have influenced me and share them with you all, so that you all can share this with those musicians or those that are trying to better themselves. So it's a win-win. It's a win-win. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, you guys take care.
Lonnie, Kenny Ellis, thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
you all.
All right.
Thanks, Pierre.
Yeah.